Hello! Welcome to my tutorial on how to get VTubing started on Linux. Today I'm going to take a look at Linux Mint, and we're going to start going through that. In order to actually help you move from Windows to Linux, or if you have a computer that can't really get updated to Windows 11, this will also help you if you do happen to be VTubing or even streaming. First, what you need to do is you need to boot your computer up, and you need to go to a thing called, if you're on Windows, you can get Rufus. If you are on Linux, you can go and get something like Balena Etcher, as well as something like Ventoy. And to install this OS onto the computer, you gotta make sure your computer has at least decent amount of specs in order for it to install, but Linux can literally be installed on a potato, so you'll be fine. This will be all derived from the guide I have written called the Linux Guide of VTubing, and you will have your necessary prerequisites as well as trying to be able to update the information as we go along. But as of today, for the purpose of this video, we will be going on Linux Mint, which will be using Xwork. Once you boot your computer up, you will be greeted with something like a BIOS screen, or you will have to go into your BIOS settings. Once you are in your BIOS settings, make sure you go to your system configuration, you go to your boot options, you go to your UEFI boot order, and you change it to, or you go to your boot options and you change it to the USB stick so it can be read. Or alternatively, you can always press something like F9 on your keyboard, and then you'll be able to get into the OS to be able to start installing. Once you will then be greeted by a grub boot screen. You just need to click enter to continue. You will then be greeted by the Linux Mint boot logo. The boot logo will end up going, and you will have to at least be able to at least wait long enough for it to boot up. It will then end up getting you into that screen. And you should then be greeted with a screen like this. All right, there's the mouse. The mouse is here. All right, now you are booted into Linux Mint. Let me just start in Linux Mint. What you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to start clicking on install. It will then ask for you to install. So once the installer pops up, you'll be greeted with this screen. So you'll then be greeted by this installer. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to click continue. Continue. I would still recommend installing the multimedia codecs in case you needed them. Now, if you want to dual boot, it will then prompt you to allow you to dual boot your PC. If not, you can erase the disk and install Linux Mint, which is what we will be doing. This will be going on the SSD I have prepared for the system. Just click continue. For the purposes of this, we will just be writing it as tutorial. Make sure you choose a password that you can remember. You can opt to have it log in automatically, or you can opt to have it let you log in. For the purposes of this video, we're going to make it to where you have to log in. Then you just wait for it to install. It will then prompt you to check out some of the features that Linux Mint has to offer. You can, of course, use the Firefox, which might be changed later on. But you'll then be given options, to sort of give you a little bit of a glimpse of what you're about to get yourself into. And from what I have to say, since this is like probably the most up-to-date beginner distro, I don't really consider Pika OS a beginner distro just yet, but it is kind of nearing that. So it's more like a gaming distro. But for something like Linux Mint, This is very much a good start for people who are wanting to move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. That way, you are able to, at the very least, be able to, do the things you want to do with that. And you could do quite a bit on Linux. This video is edited in Linux. I stream on Linux. I multi-stream on Linux. I have found multiple ways on how to get things done. And it's been a good experience so far. So as it's copying the files and overwriting Windows, the file format your computer will then be in, it will be ext4. It's a very stable format. A lot of people really recommend BTRFS, but I like ext4 a lot because it just works. It doesn't really cause problems. Now, do keep in mind, this laptop here is not the most powerful one. It can run things. This is very much my testing, outside of using the one drive for Cache OS, which I like using. This is mainly just a testing system to test OSs. And I'll be doing more of that as well. But for today, we're going to be doing this for Linux Mint. So if it doesn't run a certain program at like max FPS, or if it has a little bit of problems trying to load it up at first, that is just because the laptop is just a little bit underpowered. It will still load the program up, however, and it will still at least be able to show what can be done. This is to help people get started as far as moving away from Windows. So going through this to install the OS is just part of the experience. You can, of course, we'll be using stuff like Proton later on, as well as being able to install a few things through the terminal. Oh yeah, I know, scary terminal, but you're only copying and pasting stuff from the guide. So you're not using the terminal all that much, because the guide is designed to help guide you. This is to help get somebody started. Now, you'll be given the option to either continue testing this OS, or you could just click on Restart Now. Go ahead and click on Restart Now if you haven't already. It will then prompt you to remove the media from your computer, and then hit Enter. It's going to type in the password. You are now logged into Linux Mint. So you want to click on Let's Go. And you can also customize your desktop colors. A window will pop up. I usually like to choose Dark and Mint Y. You can set up system snapshots. This is a utility that allows you to essentially back your computer up in case something bad happens. I don't typically do this that much. Now, for Driver Manager, this is if you're using an NVIDIA card. I have an NVIDIA card on my other computer, the one that I'm currently recording the video on. And this is what's meant for installing those proprietary drivers. At least up to the 550 drivers so far. What's recommended, it's the most stable, and it will give you the least amount of issues. But what you want to click on is you want to click on something called Update Manager. You'll then click OK. And you will update your system. It will then prompt you to update the Update Manager, depending on the ISO of Linux Mint you have. Of course, mine is just a little bit older, but it's still the same thing. It will still install the packages just fine, and it will still allow you to operate your computer within its limits. You'll then update everything. All right, so now your updates are installed. After you had chose to determine if you wanted to actually have a local mirror or not, what you're going to do is you're going to reboot your computer. Unlike Windows, whenever there's an update, it's not going to force you to restart. So you can update your computer and then continue to operate it. It's still recommended that you manually reboot your computer whenever you can, but you don't have to do it immediately, and you don't have to do it after everything has been updated. But you should. So let's go ahead and reboot the computer. You just click on the Linux Mint logo, click on Shutdown, and click on Restart. You will then be prompted, it will then prompt your computer to reboot. Depending on how your UEFI options are set, you will then be going into Linux Mint, and it will then update your computer. Well, your computer has then been updated. Now you're going to log in, and you will be greeted again with the welcome screen. Click on Let's Go. Now, after you've updated your system, you can click on System Settings. And this is optional, but you can click on General, Disable Composition for full screen applications. Then you can go ahead and change some of the stuff that you want to change. You can always go here, change that, make sure that stuff doesn't lock your computer if you want. If you don't like military time, you can literally click on the computer, date time settings, untick 24-hour clock, and it will make it the correct time zone for you. You can click on power management and change the settings there. You can change balance. Right now there's only power saver. So we're going to keep that the way it is. You can go through your firewall as well to activate it. But now we're going to go to the software manager. So with the software manager, you're going to let it generate its cache. And then you can install applications like Discord, stuff like that. Now you can get OBS here. It does. Now the software manager does give you OBS, but you get an outdated version of it. It's still currently stuck on 30.0.2. What you instead want to do is you want to open up your web browser and you want to go directly to OBS's site, click on Linux, then copy and paste these instructions here. So you copy this, open up your terminal, paste it, put in your password, hit enter. The key's been created, and you sudo apt update. That way it updates your apt registry. And then you click sudo apt install OBS Studio. It will then prompt you if you ask if you want to install. Go ahead and do that. It'll install the latest version of OBS. And your OBS has been installed. Now, when you boot up OBS, it'll ask you if you want to, just do all this stuff here. I usually choose 60. Then you connect your account or use your stream key on whatever platform you want to stream on. For the purpose of this video, I will not be doing that. But you have the thing here. Now, there is something we are missing here, and it's a thing called game capture. We're gonna need to install game capture. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Linux guide of VTubing, and we're gonna go to my guide. Now, there is a wiki being made that you can go to, made by the person named Likachus. It will then prompt you on certain things you can do. It will provide you with visuals. This will also be in the description. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to go ahead and go through my guide. So there are explanations on stuff. I just suggest you do read up on stuff like that. Before we actually go ahead and install this stuff here, we're going to go ahead and actually go here. We're going to type in Proton up. We're going to grab Proton Up Qt. And we're going to install that. And we're also going to grab Steam. The Steam is where we're going to install it. You will want to use the system package for Steam. You're going to want to install that. You want to see how things are installing, of course you can click that and it will take you to there. For now, we're going to close out OBS. And while this is installing, we're now going to go ahead and go to game capture. Now, you're going to need to go to the GitHub I linked and download the source code. This is very important. You're going to then want to take the source code you have downloaded go ahead and cut that and put that in your home folder. Now go ahead and extract it. And you're going to want to go into this folder here. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back to the guide. And you're going to start installing some of this proprietary stuff that you need. Now, depending on the distribution it has, it might end up throwing errors. If so, then your option is to do window capture with a green screen. But the objective for this is to see if game capture will work properly. Now, there might be some sort of issue with the latest version of OBS, as well as the OBS dev or libOBS dev capture, but you're still going to want to try to install it anyways. If you run into problems, you're going to want to purge OBS and then reinstall OBS. So see, we have ran into an issue. So we're going to do sudo apt purge OBS-studio. You'll then momentarily purge this. Then you're going to go ahead and install this. Hit yes. Then you're going to do sudo apt install OBS Studio. Hit yes. Now it will cause this, it will still install OBS Studio just fine. This is the way I have found to get around this issue. This will also prompt it to also install. Now, if you have something where it's like you do sudo apt update, and then you will see something where it says something like auto remove, or it might not even prompt it at all. This is just one way to get around that. That way it still installs the package. That way you're not having any sort of conflict. You're going to make this because we haven't actually installed the driver yet. So we're going to go ahead and make sure CMake is installed as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just install CMake. It's a sudo apt install CMake, which I'll be updating that in a minute. So now what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste this, make directory build and cd build. Copy and paste, copy. You're going to go ahead and go to the directory you have this in for OBS VK capture. You're going to right click and click on open in terminal. Now in the terminal, what you're going to do is you're going to paste this and you're going to hit enter. It's then going to put you into the build directory. Now what you're going to do is you're going to grab this to where it actually starts to make this. And it will start creating it. So now the files have been written. Now this says that you can write, now you can put in sudo make and sudo make install. So sudo make. I like to do these separate because it just makes things better. You should see all this stuff. When you're seeing green, that means you're doing shit good. You put sudo make install. Now you have game capture installed in OBS. Now, when I open up OBS now, instead of what we saw prior to that, when I tried to go ahead, you will now see game capture. And now game capture will allow you to specify a window. Now, since game capture is installed, what we will be doing now is we'll be going to Steam. Steam is installed. So you can go ahead and add Steam, or actually click install Steam here first and install it. If you have the Steam app on your phone, you can use the QR code. If not, just install it. Just log in like you normally would, but go ahead and let Steam install first. While Steam is installing, you can also put Proton up and on your desktop as well if you need to, or add it to your favorites. But you will want to make sure at least Steam is configured correctly before you even launch Proton up. Now, according to the guide, we have this installed and you will be fine. There is, of course, more things you can install to this, but for today, we're going to go ahead and just go over Live 2D and possibly 3D applications, which that also reminds me, you will need to go to Software Manager. and grab a program called Bottles. So you're going to want to install that. While that's installing, you will actually need to grab Face Tracker. Face Tracker is the OpenC face or is the OpenC face tracker that a lot of these applications rely and use. It's what allows these programs to be captured, as well as being able to be translated into the capture methods that are being used. So you can install these as well. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to go look up VC Face. This will be for 3D programs. You grab VC Face, click on download, and download this. You can also extract the file, and we're going to go ahead and just leave this in the downloads folder for the purpose of this video, but you can move this to the desktop. Now we have Steam open. So if you have your phone, you can always click on Steam Guard, and it will then automatically let you sign in to Steam. Now, once you are in Steam, what you're going to do is you're going to click on Steam, Settings, Compatibility, and you're going to enable the compatibility layer, and you're going to restart. And it will restart Steam, or at least it will prompt Steam to restart. If Steam does not immediately restart, go ahead and look Steam up on your task manager, edit to desktop. You can also go ahead and add bottles to your desktop, and you can also add Face Tracker as well. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your library. Well, actually, you're going to go to the Steam store. And if you don't already have it, you can grab VTube Studio. It is a free program that you can use to do live 2D face tracking. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and go to VTube Studio. We're going to go ahead and install it. Accept the URL, accept all that stuff. Now what you're going to do is we're going to go back to the tutorial, or back to the guide. And when we go back to the OBS VK capture, there is a thing you can actually see. So you will need something that says OBS game capture command %. You'll need this. You can also find it in the repo as well if you click on that and then scroll all the way down, and it will give you two options to use. Once this is installing, or as it's installing, you can go to Properties, Launch Options, and you can paste that. Then you could force this to go through a compatibility layer. Now, I have found that the latest GE Proton works as well as the one that was listed in the guide. So if we click on Proton Up QT, you will then be greeted with this window. Click on Add Version and add the latest version of Proton. Okay, so you have just installed the latest version of GE Proton 27. So what you're going to now do is you can close this out. And after this has been installed, we can actually do a few things before we have to restart Steam. So if you go to Properties, Compatibility, we'll do that later, but we installed files. You're going to want to go to VTube Studio Data, Streaming Assets, and stay right here for a minute. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the guide, and you are going to go to VTube Studio section. Click on IP text file and download the raw file as a zip file. Once you have this downloaded, go here, extract this file. Go here, grab this ip.txt, cut that file, close this window out, open up the streaming assets folder you had just kept open, paste this here. You have now activated, or have at least provided VTube Studio a reason to be able to grab your capture device. Now what you're going to do, or at least your webcam, once it listens to the face tracker calls. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close all this stuff out for now. We are then going to open up OBS Studio. We're going to keep that open for a minute. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close out Steam. You can find the Steam icon, exit Steam. It will then shut down Steam. Now when you reboot Steam up, and click on Library, search for VTube Studio. Go to the cog, click on Properties. If you haven't already, put the launch options as this: OBS-Game Capture Command %. Compatibility. You want to force this into GE Proton 27. Now we're going to go ahead and launch VTube Studio. Now you're going to want to wait for it to download the content or to install any sort of redistributables it will have. That way it can then interface with the Proton layer to at least communicate to make the program work. So give it some time. I have the DLC, so it's obviously going to install the DLC for me. Look at that cat eating chips. Anyways, going to be downloading content. If you want to check your content being downloaded, you can always go to Downloads. It's obviously not, so that's weird. There it is. Now it's downloading. So if it's not starting, hit cancel, hit start again. Let it start to see the numbers going, and then it will start downloading stuff, like it's doing right now. Of course, the Steam Linux runtimes will have to install as they are going. Then it should prompt you to start the application if it is beginning. It's now launching the application. Given how old this computer is, or not as powerful as it is, it will take a little bit for it to open. Now you will end up getting hit with the registers filter setup. Just hit OK. Hit OK again. You can ignore that. Now it's going to install the redistributables, it's going to launch the program, and then it's going to start launching everything. Now it has launched VTube Studio. You are now in the program. And there are a few things you might want to do. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at a few things real quick for VTube Studio. Mainly, if you already have a model you can use any of the models here. You can also use any model you have commissioned or gotten for free off the Steam store. But for the purposes of this, we are going to go ahead and just capture the... This is show that it works. We're going to grab a hold of the cat. You can then, rotate the model and everything. If you need to exit windowed full screen mode, you can actually click on Alt-Enter. It will then put it into windowed. I always keep it in windowed mode because it's easier to manage. So you can move everything around. And it will just work a lot better. Now what we're going to do is we are going to click on Change Background. We're going to go to something called Color Picker. We are going to change this to a color that will allow it to be seen better. And you also could change that to transparent and capture. Go to OBS, click on Game Capture, then click on... I guess the wrong thing. We're not doing display capture. Click on Game Capture. then it will capture VTube Studio. You want to allow the transparency. And here is the cat. Now what you're going to do, that is to make sure that you can actually use your webcam, is you're going to want to open up something called Face Tracker that you have already installed by following the guide. It will then open up Face Tracker for you. And we're going to be using the UVC camera. We're going to be clicking on 30, and you can change it, you can leave it on default, or you can make it wink optimized. You're going to hit that. And then it's not going to be automatically enabled just yet. So we're going to go back to VTube Studio. We're going to click on the settings tab, camera. We're going to turn camera on. Now you want to keep everything here the same. You can also click auto start camera with VTube Studio, camera on, and now the camera's on. Collaborate. And now after it's been collaborated, you will then be able to use the camera, you know, just use things as you're supposed to be. And everything should be working just fine. And this is how you start VTubing on Linux. Now, considering that we do have the live 2D on here, I do want to show you something for 3D. Browse. Add VC face to your program list. Hit play. Oh. Change the compatibility mode to be the GE Proton 27. Make sure you paste your launch options here. Hit play. You will then launch in the VC face. It will then tell you, you know, on what you can do to hide the UI and everything. Now, this does include a default model. What you can do ahead is to open VC face tracking. You can choose something like that, but then you're going to go here, go to server settings, and it's port 11573, which is the default port. So click add. Well, in this case, we're clicking start. And then it should automatically provide you with what you need here. Go to OBS. You can actually select VC face as your program list, and it will take you here. If you have issues with bottles, use Steam. If you have issues with Steam, use Luachist. It all does the same thing. Otherwise, you do end up getting the option to be able to do stuff like with 3D VTubing. So that is something that you have the option as well. Now, what we're going to do is going to close that out. We're going to load up the PNG tubing application. Go ahead and download this. Let's go ahead and grab the Linux version here. Just do the standard extraction. Going to extract here. And we'll have that ready in a minute. This will be probably the easiest thing you'll do. You could even close this out for Face Tracker because you don't need it. So now we're going to go ahead and go to VTube Mini. Double click that. It's going to launch VTube Mini. You should have all your options here. If not, you might need to grab some dependencies, but it seems that we already have it. And it seems like this is already getting grabbed here. So what you could do here is, if you're on Xor, like we're doing today, go to Window Capture. You could select VTube Mini. Hit OK. And You can also right click it, click on filters, chroma key, okay? And now it's transparent. Alternatively, if you do have issues with VideoTube, you could use a thing called Fugitech. You can get it reacted by Fugitech. You can log in with your Discord account. You can grab the browser source, and you can add it as a browser source in your OBS. Anyways, I hope this tutorial ended up covering a lot of things. There will be other tutorials in the future with other distributions I do plan on doing, but for now, Linux Mint is probably the one we're going to do today. And that concludes our tutorial on how to live 2D VTube, on how to 3D VTube, and also how to use a PNG tuber in OBS on Linux Mint. This is at least a start for some people, but I hope as I keep going with this series, that more distributions can also be added to the list on what any sort of potential problems there might be in the future, as well as any sort of new developments for the VTuber guide. If you enjoyed the video, I suggest that you like, comment, and subscribe for more videos as well. Not only that, I also suggest you take a look at both my guide in Likachu's wiki on how to get your VTubing adventure set up. This may or may not also help you with streaming as well. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.